Well, I got to tell you something, folks. I think this just might be my favorite painting ever on a Louis L'Amour paperback. I mean, this thing, in my book reviews, I always review the book covers and the packaging because I love illustration, I love graphic design, so I review them all. And this painting by Gordon Crabb, I don't know if you can even see it very well here. Oh, that's probably pretty good. So this painting by Gordon Crabb is nothing short of spectacular. This book is, well, then let me introduce myself first. I'm Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon, The Blackest Heart, and The Lonesome Crown, all published by Simon & Schuster Saga Press. This is my book review channel, and we are reviewing Louis L'Amour's short story collection, The Long Ride Home. Got some things to say about this book, by the way, folks, so stay tuned. My first thing I'm saying, though, is the Gordon Crabb illustration is literally breathtaking to me. That's all done in oil paints, and I have been an artist in my life, and I have painted the desert red rocks of southern Utah, and this guy, and I know how hard they are to paint, and this guy nails it. That cowboy and that Indian girl that he's with is actually taken from the story The Long Ride Home, which is one of the short stories. There's 7 short stories in this book. The very last one's called The Long Ride Home. That is a depiction of a scene from that story, and I just can't get over how much I love that painting. Oh my gosh. But let me tell you something, folks. The painting is the highlight of the book. I love Louis L'Amour. I love Louis L'Amour. I read and review a lot of his novels. I'm not a short story person. I don't like short stories. I read the Stephen King short stories. I read short stories from a few of my favorite authors. So I never have read short stories by Louis L'Amour. So I thought I would start collecting his short story collections. He's got about 17 collections of short stories. And I thought, well, I'm going to give him a try. I started with The Long Ride Home. Seven short stories. Like I said, I love Louis L'Amour novels, folks. Don't get me wrong. 7 of these short stories, the only one I liked was the very first one, called The Cactus Kid Pays His Debts. Now, apparently the Cactus Kid is one of the recurring characters in Louis L'Amour's short story collections. So, if that's the case, great. I will enjoy, because I am going to slowly buy, and when you see my December book haul video that I'm going to do in a couple weeks, I've already bought a number of these short story collections, and I'll probably by the end of December have bought all of them. And I think I'll keep them, and they'll be good for my Louis L'Amour collection as a whole. But based off of this first collection, oh my gosh, I don't like short stories. I don't write them. I don't read them. And when I do read them, I'm genuinely disappointed. I don't know why short stories just don't vibe with me at all. And of the 7 stories in this book, I didn't like any of them except for the first one. Which is cool, because the first one, The Cactus Kid Pays His Debts, was actually a pretty cool story about, a wisecracking kind of thief-like kid living in San Francisco that's sort of just a gambler and a wisecracker, and got to give a shout out to at least that. It was a fun little story to read about this kid, the Cactus Kid, and his gambling exploits in San Francisco. That's pretty good. I cannot say, even The Long Ride Home, even though that painting is banging, that painting is awesome. Oh my gosh, I'm glad I've got this book in my collection just for the painting on the front of it. Gordon Crabb does a lot of great Louis L'Amour covers. This is by far my favorite. So, the Louis L'Amour book that has my favorite cover is also my least favorite Louis L'Amour book. I can't recommend, I generally just give positive reviews to everything. And I gotta say, I do give a high praise for the very first Cactus Kid story. And so I'm gonna look forward to the rest of the Cactus Kid stories that come up in his other short story compilations. So there is that to look forward to. And I do remember as a kid reading the Chick Beaudry short story collections, and I liked those as a kid. So we'll see if when I reread them, if I still like them. So I don't want to bag on him, because you know I love Louis L'Amour novels, and I don't want anybody from this video to get the impression that I don't like Louis L'Amour, because I am one of his biggest fans. He's one of my top 10 favorite novelists of all time. I love his novels. I've got them all. Short stories, on the other hand, but that's just short stories. Doesn't matter who the author is. I don't even really like a lot of Stephen King short stories. So I'm just going to be like, yeah, this is about a 4 out of 10. And the 4 points I'm giving this are strictly based off the Cactus Kid, because I actually did like that, and it was the first book. It was the first story in the collection, so we were off to a grand start. And then I read the other 6, and I was just like, yeeks! I didn't like them. So anyway. Oh, and a few points for the cover, too. We always consider the cover. All right, folks, that's my sort of not very great review of The Long Ride Home. But, you know, I love me some Louis L'Amour. I love me some Louis L'Amour. Just maybe the short stories ain't going to be my thing. However, I'm getting the rest of them, and we'll see. Maybe I'll be surprised down the road. Stay tuned.